Hey guys, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to my channel, and today is going to be my second video in my weight loss surgery series. If you missed the first video, I will go ahead and pop that up there for you. I definitely highly recommend that you go watch that video first because it talks about why I've decided to do this. But I do want to remind everybody that is watching this video to keep this a positive place. If you don't like weight loss surgery, if you think it's the easy way out, if you think this is the worst decision I could ever make in my entire life, please just keep it to yourself. I'm not going to be posting this video until after I have my surgery. So if you're watching this, I've already done it. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So I left off in the last video about me going to the weight loss surgery seminar through the surgeon that I had chosen. And pretty much from my understanding, every bariatric surgery, or most, operate in a similar fashion where they conduct group seminars. And that's your first step. That's the first time that you're going to be going into the office, meeting the surgeon, meeting some of the staff and everything. And the surgeon practice that I chose is called BMI Surgery, and they are out of New Lenox, Illinois, out of Silver Cross Hospital there. They do their seminars on Wednesday nights. And I mentioned in that video how my husband never has Wednesdays off. He ended up having a Wednesday off on February 20th, 2019. He never gets Wednesdays off, but I think someone in his office must have been out of town, so he needed to cover for somebody or something. So I talked to him about it. I was really nervous to talk to him about getting this surgery, but a couple weeks before when he told me, I just kind of blurted it out and told him that I was interested in doing this, and he was kind of taken aback. Like I said, he didn't, fully understand, this totally came out of left field for him, but he was like, okay, I guess go ahead and do it. So I made the appointment just the day before, or like 2 days before the seminar. And when I remember when I signed up, it looked like there had only been 3 other people that signed up. So I was like, all right, it's gonna be a small little group. But when I actually got there, there was at least 25 people there, so it filled up real fast. So going into the seminar, we met one of the surgeons. In the practice that I'm going to, there are 2 different surgeons, and I think they just kind of rotate, and whoever you go and see when you go to your seminar is who is going to be your doctor. So my doctor is Dr. Christopher Joyce. There is, I think his name is Brian Lehman. I've not met him yet, but I know he will be in the operating room when I have my surgery, but I don't think I'll probably meet him until the day of. So my doctor is Dr. Christopher Joyce, and during the seminar, he just kind of talked about the practice, the different types of surgeries that he performs, and all of that. Of course, he talked about insurance. A lot of people had questions about that, and then what to expect before, during, and after your surgery. And one thing, like I mentioned in the previous video, I was really still on the fence about whether or not I wanted to do a lap band. That was kind of what I was thinking. I kind of started in the weeks leading up to going to the seminar, kind of maybe thinking that the sleeve was the way to go, but I was still thinking about the band just because it's not permanent. They're not altering your body in any way, whereas with the sleeve they do. But I had, of course, heard all of the horror stories, and he actually made my decision for me during the seminar, saying pretty much everything that I had heard online was true. And that hardly ever happens, but he said that they hate doing sleeves, and probably like 10-15 years ago, the bands, they hate doing bands. And he said about 10-15 years ago, everybody was doing bands, nobody was doing sleeves, and now it has like completely switched. They hardly do any bands anymore. Pretty much everyone is getting a sleeve. And then gastric bypass is kind of in its own category by itself, but between those two, it really has switched over the last 10 to 15 years, he said. So that kind of made up my mind for me that the sleeve was the way to go. So while I was at the seminar, I also gave them my insurance information, but I did not give them like any personal information, like no medications that I was on. They didn't take my weight. They didn't do anything like that. So I was very confused. I figured they wouldn't be able to approve me or get insurance approval or anything, but they told me that it would be fine and that they would call me in about a week to tell me what was going on with my insurance company. So then pretty much exactly a week later, they called me and told me that my insurance was approved, which I was ecstatic. I was just kind of thinking, because I knew they would be calling me, that day or the next, and just thinking, I was like, they're probably not. Like, I don't think so. Like, I know we have good insurance, but I don't know. I was just thinking that no, they're not going to do it. So I was so freaking happy when they told me that my insurance was going to cover it, and they're going to cover a really good portion of the surgery, which I'm so thankful for, because there's no way that I could do this if I didn't have insurance coverage. Of course, my insurance approval was contingent on me meeting the requirements that they have for bariatric surgery, which coincidentally are the same that the surgeons have for doing bariatric surgery. And I think it's pretty standard across the United States. In case you're wondering, if you don't know, the requirements requirements for getting bariatric surgery are if you have a BMI of 40 or above, or you can have a BMI of 35 to 40 with an obesity related issue like high blood pressure, which I definitely have, diabetes, and I think sleep apnea. Those are the main three. There's probably a few more other ones that they might consider in there as well, but those are the main three. I definitely have high blood pressure. I've been dealing with high blood pressure since 2011 pretty much. I had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant with my daughter, though I don't think I currently have it. Last time I was checked, I was okay. But so for me, I do fit into that first category. I don't qualify based on my weight alone. I'm a little bit closer to qualifying based on my weight alone than I would like to be, but based on what my weight is, I don't. So I'm actually at this point happy that I have the high blood pressure so I could get this medication, or so I could get this surgery. Otherwise I would just probably have to wait another year and just, gain a whole bunch of weight and then do it. No, I don't recommend that anybody does that. But so that's how I am being able to qualify for the surgery, is because I do have my high blood pressure. Of course, I am overweight. A BMI of 35 is not great. But yeah, the blood pressure is really what is what is allowing me to get the procedure. So then once I found out that my insurance most likely would cover me based on the requirements that they had, I made an appointment and a first consultation with my doctor. Again, my doctor's name is Dr. Christopher Joyce. So that only took me about like a week and a half between getting the insurance approval and me going in to see him. He's so nice. I really, really liked him. So I feel really comfortable. He's been doing this for a really long time, and we talked about some of the different procedures and what he thought would be best for me and everything. And it wasn't a super long consultation, but I didn't feel rushed or anything. And he actually had me do a swallow test. So I had to go and do this like x-ray thing where I drink that barium, which is so nasty. Oh, I hate that stuff. But I'm really, really glad that I had to do that, because I don't think everyone has to do that before they have their surgery. But I'm really happy that I had to do it, because we found out that I also have a hiatal hernia. And that is kind of like a hernia. I think it's right where like your esophagus meets your stomach. So it's kind of like, I don't know, things are kind of a mess in that area apparently. And it does kind of cause me some chest pain. So I think that might be what is attributing to some of my chest pain that I experience. So he said he would go ahead and fix the hernia during my surgery. So I'm getting a 2-for-1 here. And while I was at my consultation, they also signed me up for their medically supervised weight loss program, because most insurance companies require that you do a 6-month medically supervised weight loss program before they will approve you for the weight loss surgery. And my doctor was talking in the seminar how it's really pointless. They really hate doing it, but a lot of insurance companies, require you to do it before you can go ahead with surgery. And my understanding of those is that you just go in for one initial meeting. It's like an hour or two. And then every month, then for the next 5 or 6 months, you go in for 10 minutes and you just get weighed. And you have to pay your copay every single time you go in to get weighed. And my insurance company that I have, they said it always requires it. There's one or two, they said, that never require it, but most insurance companies do. And mine, they said, is notoriously a stickler about requiring it. But when they got my first initial insurance approval back, it didn't say anything about it, but they said, your insurance company always requires it. So we're going to double check for you, but let's go ahead and sign you up for the class just to get your ball rolling on this, so you're not wasting any time. So I was like, okay. I didn't really want to do it. I don't think anybody wants to do that, especially when you're waiting to get weight loss surgery, but if it's a requirement, I was going to do it. Then about a week before I was supposed to go to this weight loss class, they called me and told me my insurance is not requiring me to do this. I don't know why. They seemed pretty baffled as well. But I am just thanking my lucky stars that I don't have to prolong this this whole journey anymore, because that's all it's doing. It's not, people that are doing this weight loss program are still going to have the surgery, right? I mean, I guess it's trying to teach you how to eat better, but you're going to do that anyways, I feel. And that's kind of the thought process I think that my doctor has. But yay, I don't know why I don't have to do it, but I don't. So I'm super excited about that. But then from there, even though I didn't have to worry about doing the weight loss program anymore, I still had to get approval from 3 different doctors that I would be okay to go ahead through the surgery. So the first doctor I had to go see was a psychologist, and we ended up actually doing it online, which was super convenient. My doctor gave me the name of a company that, is run with doctors, with psychologists that will do like a Skype phone call and approve you that way, assuming that, there aren't any big, mental issues or anything. And of course you could go to just a regular in-person doctor as well if you felt more comfortable doing that. But I decided to go ahead and do it this way, and it was super easy, super convenient. It was probably about a half-hour phone call. It really wasn't that long. And I know a lot of people from what I've seen online are really, really nervous about it, but I just spoke really honestly. I don't feel like I'm a super emotional eater. I feel like I just kind of eat out of boredom and out of habit. So that's kind of what my issue is. And I always cook really, really healthy for my family, but we do eat out sometimes, and I don't always make the best choices. But my biggest issue is snacking at night. After my kids go to bed and I'm just home by myself a lot of times, I'll just snack. Chips, popcorn, not usually the healthiest options. I have, since I've been doing this, I've definitely been snacking healthier, but I still do like to snack at night. So that is definitely the issue that I have and what I need to work on the most. So trying not to get too off topic here, but I was just really, really honest with the psychologist, and she said that she would approve me, no problem. The only issue we had with that though, for whatever reason, my insurance did not cover that appointment. So I had to shell out $200 for that 30-minute phone call, which kind of sucked, but it is what it is. My insurance did cover the other two approvals that I had to get, but they didn't cover the psychologist for one reason or another. So I did the psychologist thing, and then the next doctor that I went to go see was a pulmonologist. And the pulmonologist for me was what took the longest to get an approval from him. And when I say the longest, it really was only 2 weeks, but I did have to do like 4 different things with him. So the first appointment that I had with him was just kind of a, hi, how are ya? I'm here because I need to get approval for weight loss surgery. And what do I need to do so that you can sign off on it, kind of thing. And he said that I needed to do a sleep study and a breathing test. And when he said that I needed to do a sleep study, I got really, really annoyed, I guess. I don't know. I just figured I have to go to a place and do this sleep study and sleep in a bed that I don't know, with people all around, wires everywhere. Fortunately, that is not what happened. I was actually able to do the sleep study at home. I just had to wait a couple of days for my insurance approval to go through, and then I went and picked up this big box of stuff. And I was also kind of thinking that this was going to be like a CPAP machine, like really, really loud and really annoying, but it was perfectly fine. I had to wear like a band thing around my waist, like right under my bra, and that was connected to one of those things that they put on your finger, and then I had to wear like a nose cannula thing. And I just wore that at night, and then I took it back in the morning, and that was it. It was no big deal at all. And then I had to go and do this breathing test, and I was like in this like glass box thing, and I had to breathe super, super hard into like this little tube thing. I had to push every single ounce of air I could out of my lungs. I had to pant really hard. I had to breathe really fast at some points. And that took maybe about a half hour. So again, it really wasn't that big of a deal. It was just making the appointment and doing it. And then after I had gotten the sleep study done and the breathing test done, I went back to the pulmonologist. He looked over the results and said everything was fine. My breathing test, he said, was perfectly fine, though when I had the sleep study, he said I had a couple of apnea episodes, but nothing major. And I think it's pretty common for pretty much everyone to have 1 or 2 apneas a night, maybe. I don't know all the terminology or the frequency, but I think they're pretty common for everybody. It's just if you're starting to get them very, very frequently, that's when it becomes an issue. And he said I did have a few, but he said once I lose the weight, it should probably correct itself, though he did recommend that I would go back about 6 months after my surgery and retest just to make sure that everything's going okay. But he was definitely fine with me going ahead with the surgery, so he signed off on that, no problem. And the last doctor that I had to go see was the one that I was the most nervous about, and that was the cardiologist. I figured because the pulmonologist had taken so long to get through, I mean, like I said, again, it was just about 2 weeks, but I figured that I would have to be going to multiple visits to, try all these different tests to make sure that I was okay. But I actually only ended up having to go to one appointment with the cardiologist, and it was no big deal. When I first got there, they did an EKG on me where they put those little sticker things on you, and they just kind of watch your heartbeat for a few minutes. And then In my previous video, I mentioned that I had been hospitalized back in, I think, December of 2017. And when I was in the hospital, they did have me do a stress test. So he pulled that, and because it was perfectly fine, even though it had been over a year, it had been about almost a year and a half, he said because it was fine, he would go ahead and approve me. He didn't think there was any issues, and he approved me, you know, right then and there when I was at that first appointment. And I did want to mention too, and I don't know if this is going to be the same for all bariatric surgeons, but the pulmonologist and the psychologist approvals were good for 1 year, and the cardiologist was only good for 6 months. So I had put off the cardiologist making that appointment for a little bit because I thought I was going to have to be doing that 6-month weight loss program. So I was going to, you know, try and do that a little bit later into that weight loss program. But since I didn't end up having to do that, I went ahead and was able to make an appointment pretty close after I had finished the other 2. So then a couple of days after I had gotten that last clearance from the cardiologist, I got a phone call from the surgeon's office to schedule surgery. And this was just earlier this month. And I could have had surgery on June 3rd. She said that was open. I could do it, no problem, like less than a month. And I was like, oh gosh, that's a little soon. You know, my kid's still in school, so I'd wanted to do it a little bit later. So we ended up choosing June 17th as my surgery date. So as of right now, that's still what's going to happen. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. But in the meantime, I do have a few more things that I have to do. Coming up next week, I've got to go do a big pre-op class. And I've actually got to be there at like 7:30 in the morning because I have to do a blood draw that day too. So I'm going to go do the blood draw at like 7:30. Then she said I could leave for an hour, come back at 8:30, and the class is from like 8:30 to 12:30. And what they're covering in this class is everything from your, I don't know for sure, of course, but I think they're going to cover your pre-op diet, which is going to be, I believe, a liquid diet, which is going to stink. So it's going to be about 2 weeks before my surgery. I'm going to be really just drinking. I'm not going to be eating anything. I have heard, depending on your surgeon, some surgeons are allowing you to eat a little bit of chicken and maybe a little bit of vegetables, but for the most part, it's just going to be liquids, which I know I'm going to struggle. I think everyone's going to struggle with that, especially if you're a little bit overweight. But the reason why they do it is not actually for you to lose weight or to torture you. They do it because the surgeries are done laparoscopically, which means, you know, they're not doing a big, huge cut down the middle of your stomach. They're doing like 4 or 5 tiny little incisions like this. And when they're doing that, you know, they need to be able to see your stomach as clearly as they can. And your liver is sitting on top of your stomach. I think that's how it works. So this diet is meant to shrink your liver to get it out of the way as much as possible to make your surgery a lot safer and go a lot smoother. So it's really, really important that I do this diet. It's just going to really suck. I just know it is. But so the class is going to cover that. I believe it's probably going to cover what to expect in the hospital and then how to eat going forward after the hospital, because after the surgery, of course, too, I am going to be on a liquid diet because I have to be, because my stomach at this point is not going to be able to handle anything else. And you know, now that I think about it, I don't think I've even really talked about what a sleeve is. I know this is like the end of the video pretty much, but a sleeve, basically all they're doing is taking out like 80 to 90% of your stomach. They're not rerouting anything like they do in a bypass. It's just snip, snip, snip to snip, pull it out, you're good to go. So like I said at the class, I'm going to learn all about how to eat after the surgery, you know, for the first week, then, you know, the next 2 weeks and the next 3 weeks, and then until finally I'm going to be able to eat as regularly as I will be able to. Of course, a very high protein diet is going to be the norm for me. Low carb, I think, is pretty much going to be the norm. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of changes, but like I said, I'm really, really excited. I'm really motivated to do this. I've already tried to start eating a lot healthier, like I said. So yeah, I think I'm ready. And I think, you know, I hear a lot of people saying that, you know, the one regret that they have is not doing this sooner. I don't think I'm going to have that. I'm going to tell myself this right now. I don't think that even a couple of years ago, I would have been ready for this. Definitely not in my 20s. I see a lot of people in their 20s getting this procedure, and I don't think I would have been able to handle it in my 20s. But I think I'm ready now. I hope I am, so that I can be successful, because you can gain weight. You definitely can gain weight after you have this. So you do have to be careful how you eat, but it is a tool to help you, you know, maintain your health. So like I said, I'm really, really excited about it. And then one other thing, I do also have my next follow-up appointment or a pre-op appointment, I guess it would be, with my surgeon, probably about a week before my surgery, just to kind of go over everything, make sure we're on the same page with everything. And then also at that appointment, I'm going to be signing all of my hospital consent forms, so I don't have to do that the day of the surgery, because, you know, I'm sure they probably have a lot of people like freaking out and they're not going to want to sign the consent or anything, like when you're actually in there waiting to be wheeled to the operating room. So they have you do it a week before, which I think is probably a really smart idea. But that's where I am right now. I'm just kind of waiting to go to my first like pre-op class, and then I've got my pre-op visit with the doctor, and then surgery. So this is all happening within the next month, which is so exciting. But like I said, when you're seeing this, I've already done the surgery. I will probably talk about it a little bit on my Instagram as well, so feel free to follow me over there. I will have it linked down below if you want to get any other information about it, and feel free to ask me questions. Like this video, subscribe. I would love to continue to do beauty videos, and probably some of these sprinkled throughout, kind of like when I had my children, and I did especially with my daughter, when I did some pregnancy related videos kind of interspersed with the beauty stuff. But yeah, we'll just kind of see what goes on going forward. If there's any questions you have, please let me know. If there's any types of specific videos that you want to see here on my channel, please let me know. But yeah, I think that's it for today. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.